in his shadow for life. Say to the Lord, my refuge, my rock in whom I trust, and he will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the dawn, make like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand. The snare of the fowler will not near you, and will bring you no fear. Under his wings your refuge, his faithfulness your shield, and he will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand. For to his angels he's given a command to guard you in all of your ways. Upon their hands they will bear you up, lest you dash your foot against the stone.
And he will raise
you
up
on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand, and hold you in the palm of his hand.
It was like now there's nothing. Oh, there it is.
Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check.
It's on, yeah.
Check 1, 2. Unforgettable, that's what you are. Unforgettable, though near or far, like a song of love that clings to me. Never before has someone been more unforgettable in every way, and forevermore, that's how you'll stay. That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too. unforgettable. That's what you are. Unforgettable, though near or far. Like a song of love that clings to me. How the thought of you does things to me. Never before has someone been more unforgettable in every way. And forevermore, that's how you'll stay. That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me. Way above the chimney tops, that's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Over the rainbow, why, oh then why can't I? If fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh why can't I? Check, 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 check. Check, check, check.
We have a lot of
Absolutely, always. Absolutely.
They're all the same.
Check, 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 check.
At least have a backup.
Just a thought, it is while they're not doing something else. What I'm saying, I mean, is this one's probably got a dead baby.
Oh, you're right.
Well, I mean, we're gonna.
So, and
I don't think anything. There we go.
Check, check, check.
Check.
Check, check, 1, 2. Check, check. Testing, testing, 1, 2. Check, 1, 2. Check, check.
Thank you.
Check, check, 1, 2.
Check.
If we can get your attention and encourage you to find a table, there's so much space to accommodate everybody beautifully. So just find a place that you feel right about being in. Hold the energy of this love in your heart and why we're here, and the love that brought us together today. Great big love. Wild, radical love.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow in the sky are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies crying. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I never know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies crying. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll never know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Ooh. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. On behalf of Reverends Ron and Lenore Scott and their big, beautiful, wholehearted, loving family and friends, thank you for your presence here today. And as we open in prayer, imagine how many times Reverend Lenore led or heard the prayer of protection, the prayer for protection. Unity's iconic prayer. So let's pray that together today. Will you join me as we hold Reverend Lenore in the highest part of our heart? light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. And the presence of God watches over you and us. Wherever you are, God is. Wherever we are, God is. The songs were chosen. The family had very specific songs in mind for this day and the celebration of her life, and including that song that you heard, is even in the face of challenge. This life, Reverend Lenore's, was not free of challenge, and neither has yours been. And even in the face of that, this was her faith and her philosophy and her guiding light. So, yes, a wonderful world, and she absolutely contributed to making it a wonderful world in ways seen and unseen, and in spades. And we give great thanks for that. The 23rd Psalm has been chosen for Scripture today. So whatever this means to you, I invite you to speak it silently or aloud, or hold the words as I speak them in your own conversion of your heart, and uplift to your heart as we celebrate this life. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. As a young girl, this was the very first scripture I ever memorized. So for 60-ish years, these words have brought a lot of comfort to me. And again today. So find any string or thread you can hold on to, because we'll have some tears and crying today, and some laughter today, and a celebration of life today, and there may be a little snot in there, and snot never hurt nobody. So go with us and do what you can to care for your own heart as we celebrate this life and join this family in this. There's nothing I can say about the love of Reverend Lenore Scott that's news to any of you. I can tell you it was immediate for me, and I thought that was something. And the more I talk to y'all, and the more I hear from y'all, you say, me too. I didn't have to work at loving her. I didn't have to work at getting to know her. It was an immediate thing. It's how people felt in her presence. It's how people felt in her I love yous, and her voice, and her reaching out. So here's a video that acknowledges some of her early work in ministry as she was starting a personal inventory class at the then Church of Today.
Have you ever seen a miracle? A real miracle? Right in front of your eyes, kind of miracle. the kind that you can report to other persons and say, my eyes have beheld the glory of the coming of the Lord, the transformation of a person. Have you ever seen that kind of a miracle? If you haven't, I want to introduce you to a miracle. But first, I'm not sure that Lenore knows that I have in my hand a copy of the requests of 12 people at a mastermind meeting that was held on Easter Saturday, the 21st of March in 1984, 3 years ago. Lenore Scott was at that meeting, and her request was to be free of the ego and negative responses and to become the best inventory teacher in America. I want to present to you one of nature's greatest miracles. Lenore Scott.
After an introduction like that this afternoon, this sweet little lady came up to me. She wanted to know what I had done. She was so serious. It touched my heart. I think she thought I walked in water, rose from the dead, which Jack said, that was probably it, Lenore. You should have said yes right there. The dead place inside myself to really come alive and start living my life and functioning in life. And as I sit there, you overwhelm me. You know, I thought last week was a dream, and I come back, and here you are again. And I look and I think, you make a statement about yourself by being here. And that is that you are really looking to do something with your life. And I look at you, and I'll tell you, you look pretty good to me. You look like you're doing some things already, and most people out there would say, what do you want to go sit in church on a Wednesday night for? You're okay. But you know, don't you? You know there's more. There's more beyond what you've already experienced in your life. And all I can say is, this is it. This is it. It finally arrived. It's here.
So a deep bow to whatever that it is, that ever the thing itself, that's it, and how it moves us, and how it's moved you, and how it will continue today after this. So as we move to this particular music, it's a call back to what are we going to do? How are we going to give life to our life? What can this life, Reverend Lenore's life, as we celebrate it, cause us to do, to say, then how am I going to cause and create on purpose with great intent, with wholeheartedness, the things that some of us value about her, the virtues of her and her living, how are we going to make that world? How are we going to create a new earth? That it's time then, while we're alive, to say, for whatever life I have left, days, minutes, weeks, months, years, to be determined that it will be lived on purpose and giving life to my life and giving life to the life of all humanity. And to do so as we recall this invitation from her, so clearly spoken and so clearly lived for decades as she served families, her own families, and the ministry, multiple unity ministries. So, as Nancy and Matt sing this song, it's an invocation, I believe. And whatever you believe, theologically, religiously, to make room, to not let the words here stop you from rededicating and redevoting your life to the life you want someone to be talking about one day when it's your turn. This day will come for all of us. You hope, you want us to be saying about you on that day.
I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry, all who dwell in loneliness, my hand will save. I who made the stars of night, I will make their darkness bright. Who will bear my light to them? Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. It is I, Lord. I have you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, as you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I, the Lord of wind and flame, I will tend the poor and lame. I will set a feast for them. My hand will save. Finest bread I will provide, till their hearts be satisfied. I will give my life to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. It is I, Lord. I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, as you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart.
Bravo, bravo, bravo. So, guess who? So, well done, Reverend Lenore. Now, guess whose turn it is? Guess whose turn it is? So, may we then live this out. And all the gifts that we've been given, just like she shared so freely with the gifts that she had in so many, many seen and unseen ways. And I want to acknowledge you that are here, certainly as I have, and those that couldn't be here. Those of you that are watching through the live stream, it's so dear that you would join in. And those of you that couldn't even do that, you'll be able to see this later. And there's been so many to reach out, it would be impossible to acknowledge them all. And I hope that you feel acknowledged and will give some acknowledgement to yourself, that it means the world to have your prayers uplifted, your support, and your sweet cards and letters and emails that Reverend Ron has shared with me from many of you, and I'll refer to here a little bit in the service. It's an important part of a life so valiant as a life like Reverend Lenore is to acknowledge the family. What a tremendous family that she was mighty in. So these are a list of beautiful, beautiful loved ones of the family of Reverend Ron and Lenore. And we acknowledge in you that the depths of this, her love and presence and spirit will be with you eternally and infinitely. And the loss, the change, also resides in that passing. Her deceased parents, Eleanor and John Gerdzell, Lenore's loving husband of 40 years, Reverend Ron Scott. And she used to ask for private time to meet with me when I was here. She would speak about her love for Ron, and then she would say, and every woman in town wants him. So I've got to keep my eye on him. I would say, you're probably right. However, I am strangely confident that you're the one for him. You're his girl. Lenore's beloved sons, Bob and wife Carol, her son Larry and wife Kathy, Lenore's son Jim and partner Marcy, her deceased brother Ron and deceased wife Carla, Lenore's brother John and wife Barb, her brother Alan and wife Danette, Lenore's deceased brother Robert, Lenore's brother David, Lenore's stepdaughter Julie and her wife Christine, her stepson Michael and wife Sandy, Lenore's beautiful grandchildren that I got to meet now, that all speak so fondly of their times with grandmother, Robert, Jennifer, Paige, Philip, Jessica, Michael, and Isabella. Lenore's great-grandchildren, Julian and Bennett. Her cousin and friend from their youth, Danny and wife Maggie. In addition to other beloved nieces, nephews, cousins, extended family, and wonderful, wonderful friends and ministry colleagues. Thank you all for the part you had in her life. And may her living presence stay with you eternally and infinitely as you continue your own. Some of the notes that were sent. We're saddened to hear of Lenore's transition. However, we know she's in a place now without pain and will continue to share her blessings and with all of us. She is truly an angel on the earth. We loved her dearly. Please know you and the family are in our hearts and prayers through this difficult time. And thank you for live streaming this celebration of service, this celebration of her life, so that we could be part of it in celebrating her life from Texas and Arkansas and around. Glenn and Sherry and Lindsay. I just read of Lenore's passing. I'm so sorry to hear it. What a fine soul and a terrific partner. Lenore's gentle way left me feeling warm and loved. It's probably been close to 2 decades since we've even touched base. And there's no time. I see her celebration of life, and I'll be holding you and your family in prayer during this time. Reverend Scott Schnell. My heart was so saddened to read of Lenore's passing in the Unity's Worldwide Ministry News. I have such wonderful memories of you, Reverend Scott, Reverend Ron, and Lenore. You were both always so kind, thoughtful, and generous with everyone in our ministerial class. You two were the power couple. Decades later, still true. Still true. Lenore was a woman of deep faith, elegance, and class. I never heard her speak a negative word about anyone or anything. How many of you could say the same thing? She was an inspiration to the entire class and to everyone who knew her. The love you two shared is beautiful. May you know the positive impact you and Lenore have had on me and many others, and may you feel our loving, protective presence always after this. I wanted to reach out and share that Unity Church of the Hills had a circle of remembrance for her. That's the ministry that Reverends Ron and Lenore founded down in Austin, Texas. So they celebrated her life there beautifully, and we'll be doing so again tomorrow to some degree over at Unity of Royal Oak, as I deliver a lesson over there too. They've reached so many lives. Precious Lenore, she gave me power I didn't know I had. I remember we both had the same kind of humor, a little bit on the vinegar side at times, which always made me laugh. It also broke our spell of trying to be too perfect. I hope today and your days ahead are filled with love and blessings and heavenly connections with Reverend Lenore in sacred quiet time. Love and hugs from Betty. So for all of you that sent notes, thank you. And keep it up as we go forward in this time, this next few weeks and months particularly. I want to invite to the podium Patty Hole to share her experiences and love.
Wow, this is amazing. It's just a very great pleasure for me to be here today to talk about Lenore. She was a very, very special person in my life. And I just want to say thank you to all of you who came here today and made the effort to get here on this kind of rainy day. And I just want to share some thoughts about my personal experiences and relationship with Lenore. She was my wonderful, beautiful, talented, as you could see from that video, and forever friend. And we are definitely doing the right thing to be here today and to celebrate and remember Lenore, because she had a lot to teach us. Our friendship goes back to probably the mid-70s, first met at that little Unity Church on the corner of Coram and Queen. I'm sure some of you, I see a few heads nodding. I'm sure some of you remember that. It was quite a place. Anyway, a mutual friend said to me, there's a new person in the church that you need to meet. Well, you know, when somebody says that, it's like, oh dear. What does that say about me or them? You're not sure. Anyway, she was described as a single working mom raising 3 young sons. Well, you know, life isn't exactly easy when you're in that situation, as we all know. But what happened next was not what I expected. Here's Lenore. Now, this is no little match girl. You know, downtrodden, weary, pathetic, victim of cruel circumstances, colorless, and oh, the biggest sin of all, boring. The person I met that day was lovely, engaging, alive, warm, kind, and very authentic. I decided right then and there, we're going to be friends. And so began a very comfortable, endearing, supportive, and deeply satisfying friendship that has lasted until 2 weeks ago at Lenore's recent death. I knew Lenore as woman to woman. We were both seekers at that time in our lives and beyond of the more, the greater. That life always seems to lure us forward. And it was interesting because Martha mentioned that when she was talking, and I thought, wow, we didn't get together and collaborate about the more and the greater. Anyway, when I speak of more and greater, I'm talking about more peace, more awareness, more joy. That was a big one for me. Understanding, prosperity, self-knowledge and self-love, and you know, the list goes on. You could probably fill in your own. Well, we became weekly mastermind partners along with some others. And I noticed today, looking out when the people were coming in, I saw one of those others, Nancy and Ron. I just have to say hi again. I don't know where you are, but we were mastermind partners. We attended classes, conferences, retreats. We wrote affirmations. We created image books, pages. That was fun. Practiced gratitude. That was nice. And we worked on forgiveness, and a little harder. We shared feelings, challenges, like how do you change bad habits. We shared little miracles that happened that we thought were worth taking note of. Like, you know, learning how to let go of those juicy negative feelings that we all love to hate. And just silly things like, you know, how bad your hair looks on a Michigan rainy day, or when you get caught in windy weather. And just for the record, Lenore's went flat and straight, mine went fuzzy and frizzy. Not a good look. We did have some standards, you know. We were each other's local spiritual urgent care, or ER. And when all else failed, we found a Krispy Kreme shop nearby, got a cup of coffee and split one. Now that's soul. And Lenore had it, believe me, in abundance. She also had what I call the Mary Poppins syndrome. That is, don't complain and don't explain. Just do whatever's needed. Your greatest work begins with you, not the brother or the sister to your left or your right. It begins with you. Oh, that's a novel idea. She actually said this. I never actually heard Lenore say those words, but her actions definitely exemplified it. I took a little speaker's license there. One day, after we had both married and were traveling together on a cruise ship, Lenore casually remarked to me, she said, Patty, do you realize we are now living the life we once imagined, affirmed, masterminded for, pictured on the pages of our image books, and it's pretty darn good. I'm sure I mumbled some sort of a disembodied, yeah, or the equivalent of that. But today, I respond, yes. Lenore, thank you, my cherished friend. My loyal buddy on the path. She and I laughed our heads off together. We did. We cried together. We rolled our eyes at each other in silent conspiratorial acknowledgement of our frustrations and annoyances when things seemed to go wrong. But I'll tell you, it's been a grand adventure, nonetheless. And I expect your journey today, Lenore, will be the more and the greater. And this part, I can hardly celebrate with you today with joy in my heart and a sense of peace at the loss of someone who is so vital and so important and so inspirational to me at a time in my life when I needed a buddy. And I can say this because I know that wherever you are, you're just fine, Lenore. Fondest farewell, most beloved friend, Lenore. Until we meet again. Thank you.
Today I'm privileged to pay tribute to my friend Lenore. She was my friend and the sister I never had. The warmth of Lenore's heart, the joy of her smile, and the stars in her eyes keep alive the memories of a 44-year-old friendship that has never been defined by time or distance. What describes Lenore the best are the very characteristics that we have all experienced from Lenore. The purity of her love, the compassion and kindness of her heart, the feeling of safety and welcoming she so generously gave. Lenore was and still is a nurturer. She lifts you up and empowers you. She also had a sense of to detect the problem or the denial. And in that process, you still felt the presence of God in her heart, no matter what the circumstances. We were friends, confidants, students, teachers, colleagues, mothers, and world travelers. We wore many hats. We carried many roles and traveled the world together. Lenore and me were bonded by the pain of our past. But we were united in our search for truth and God, and devoted to making life better for our families and for a safer place in society. Lenore was a great hostess and made you always feel welcome and special. She had a great sense of humor and timing that could take the tension out of and pain out of any crisis. She was a beautiful and devoted mother to her sons and to many other people. She was a happy and proud grandmother and a devoted and loving wife to her husband Ron. Of course, I'm biased. My best memories of Lenore are from the time we worked together at the pavilion. Behind the sweet, gentle, elegant Lenore was a tough, brave woman capable of cutting through denial of ego and addictions. The purity of her love helped people awaken to the beauty of their spirit and their authenticity at a time when authenticity was not fashionable. My husband Jill and Lenore were a great team in addressing what needed to be addressed. I know that they are having fun together. Lenore had a huge welcoming committee, I'm sure of that, as we release her spirit of love. We love. Others from the past are welcoming her to her place of freedom and eternal love. Au revoir, Lenore. Until it is my turn to join you in our next chapter, you are free to fly now and rise and watch over your loved ones. Godspeed. I love you.
Hello, everybody. So that was Lillian Desjardins. She was one of the directors at the Pavilion in northern Quebec, where my mom performed her personal inventory class on a monthly basis to the people who attended the sessions there. And her and her husband Jill had a profound impact on my mom's growth and my mom's development over the years. And thank you, Lillian, for the video that you sent. First, I just want to say I know my mom's at peace. So there's been numerous feelings, as you might imagine. The one that recurs most often though is gratitude. And for a lot of things, for the life she gave me, for the life we shared, and also for the support, family and friends, and all the people who are here today. I want to thank you each for making the effort to celebrate your life. And somehow my emotion won't let me embrace the celebration all the time, you know what I mean? But I'm working on it. But I just wanted to thank you all for being here, and thank you on behalf of my brothers who couldn't be here, both have a medical condition that didn't allow them to fly. And if you could please keep them in your thoughts and prayers as they recover. Each of them are with their families, holding a visual and listening to this live stream, and holding my mom up high in their thoughts and prayers. I hope you'll take the time to look at the picture boards that we put together. You'll notice that she's smiling in about 99% of the pictures, except for when she's in a red flannel little outfit. She's got to be 3 years old and she's crying in her mom's arms. And that is worth the price of admission because she's so cute. I can't tell you how many lessons I've taken away. The way she lived was to be admired. The way she passed was the same. Everything she did was from a place of love. She always made sure the people around her were taken care of before her. Even that last week of her life, they ordered pizza coming home from the hospital, and she made sure to cut it in enough pieces so everybody could have enough. And it's just her nature, you know. Everywhere she went, she smiled. Excuse me. She brought up some great things and people. And I watched it all the time, especially these last few years. Back to gratitude, I was grateful to be able to spend these last few years with her. And the amount of time I did. And through that time, she never stopped growing and changing. She never stopped evolving in who she was and how she handled her life. That she kind of doubled down and took it to the next level. She faced some challenges. She walked through it daily like a champ. And I remember walking through the halls of Fox Run, going to her exercise classes. And we'd always be trying to get there on time. People would stop us in the halls just to talk to her, just for a minute, just to see her smile, and just to interact with her. And we stopped caring about time and getting places on time. It was just beautiful. The way she treated people was really second to none. The way she made people feel special, her family, her friends, her grandkids. She made events more special. Celebrations more celebratory. She did special things with her grandkids. She taught them how to bake, how to cook, how to cut celery for Thanksgiving dinner. She taught me how to handle life situations, how to talk through things, how not to let things go, how to walk towards it, through it. Especially if it meant a hard conversation. Because that's how you grow. That's what she was all about. I guarantee wherever she is now, she's probably on God's left or right side doing something on his behalf. Counseling somebody who's still scared about the transition, or holding the hands of people who went before her, but I can guarantee she's smiling down on all of us. Thank you.
Well, if you haven't cried yet, check to see if you have a pulse. I'm getting a little worried about that. Thank you, Jim, and Lillian, and Patty. Uplift. We'll open now a time of sharing, and if you want to come up here to share, you can share from this podium. And if you prefer to stay where you are, one of the other earth angels of the ministry, Jack, will run rapidly toward you with a microphone and invite you to share from your heart about what this life meant to you. So if you want to come on up, Reverend Linda's coming up to share from here. Then after she shares, we'll go right down the way.
A good minister never loses an opportunity at an open mic. My dear friends, I met Lenore in January of, you're not going to believe this, 1991. I have known her for 33 years. When I arrived at what was then known as the Church of Today, under the guidance of the late Jack Boland, I was an associate minister. She is all those things that all of you have described. The most crucial moment in my relationship with her was when she came to me several years after I'd been there and said, my husband Ron is applying to Unity School to become a minister. And I looked at her and I went, and? She said, and what? And I said, and why aren't you? And she did, and she succeeded, and she graduated, and she joined the world of uppity women who bless the world, and I am blessed to know her.
Anybody, just raise your hand up if you want the mic. Anything you want to share about her? Make sure you don't leave here with regret that you didn't. So if there's something impulsing you, it may be her. Okay, Jen.
Hello. I'm Cassius Drake, Dr. Drake. I had the honor, my wife and I, of meeting Ron and Lenore at Unity Church of the Hills in Austin, Texas. I first met Lenore New Year's Eve during the bowl ceremony, 2001. And I recall the moment that we walked into the church. It was one of the first time for us. It was new for us. We weren't spiritual people. We were just coming to that. And this was a time of spiritual awakening in my life. And I remember walking in and feeling my presence and seeing this group and knowing that I was in the right place at the right time. She would go on to be one of the major inspirations in my life and entering my own call to serve in a spiritual way. I had the honor of serving as a chaplain in Unity Church of the Hills and to learn from her and sit in her presence. Every time I held her hands in prayer, I'd feel that people present. And she once said to me, you have healing hands. And I realized later it was holding her hands in her presence that helped me heal my own hands with God and to be the healer that I am today. So I just want to express my gratitude to God, to Lenore's spirit for whatever put her in my path at the time that she was placed there, and for all the blessings that she gave. She blessed her marriage. She blessed her children. She blessed her entire life. Forever grateful for her presence and for every gift that I got from her. And you know that our whole heart is with you in this time and with her spirit, and I know that she will be.
Okay, what got me was don't have any regrets. I have to echo what a couple other folks have said here, Jim. Lenore continued to grow, and the last few years of her life, to me, was a triumph, honestly. The way she handled physical challenges, mental, emotional challenges, you could write a book. She just rose up and was brave and full of joy and humor, making us all laugh all the time. Even in the last couple weeks of her life, she had us in stitches. Okay? She told us toward the end, I'm not afraid. I'm at peace. And she really displayed that. I only hope I can, emulate that in my final chapter. She embodied like this strength and courage and joy and love, and we had a lot of fun. Lenore and I did in the last few years. We got even closer, and we loved. I never liked shopping that much, but she was such an avid shopper that I actually started enjoying it. We had so much fun shopping, and when she went into the store, there was an intensity about her, and she would just zoom, 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 and I'm talking about even in the last year, zoom, 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 and she goes, I don't need the walker. So I'm like standing really close to her in case she falls. But we were having fun, and then we'd go out to eat, go upstairs at Nordstrom's and that's a really inexpensive, nice restaurant up there if you haven't tried it. And we really loved that restaurant, and we'd go in there because it was never overcrowded, and we'd eat something yummy and split a dessert. We loved going for walks, and I struggled to keep up with her. My gosh. And when she had the walker, forget about it, okay? So I have lots of happy memories. And when she was really struggling at times, like she would just say, I can't go today, I can't do that today, but I need to take a nap. And I would say, yeah, so do I. And we would crash out in the living room. She'd crash out on the couch, and I'd crash out in the chair. And literally, we would sleep for an hour or two. And then she'd, inevitably wake up feeling better. And then we'd go on and do something. So, yeah, we were good buddies. And I'll always remember just what fun we had together. And how playful we were. I'll also remember what a great relationship she had with my dad, and how she was one of the only ones that, she loved him dearly. She also knew how to stand up for herself. And if she felt like things aren't going quite right, she'd give him the look. Okay? And he, and sometimes she'd do, and she'd do it with a smile, guys. She'd go, yeah. Right, Dad? Like the fist. The smile and the fist, like, you better watch yourself. And he would back down, or, he'd step back and listen. And then just the wonderful way my dad took care of Lenore, as did Jim. Just the wonderful way over these past few years. And in the last few days of her life, one of the things she said to my dad was, you took such good care of me. And I know she said the same to Jim as well. And, but yeah, she did keep growing. She just kept on growing. And again, those challenges, those physical, emotional, mental challenges, they were grist for the mill for her. She was something. So, I love you, Lenore.
Lenore loves you too. And there was hardly a conversation I had with her that didn't include, how's it going? What's up? And it was Julie, Jim, and Ron. Julie, Jim, and Ron. Julie, Jim, and Ron, day after day. And Marcy often there too. And including some shopping experiences they got to have, because my family benefited from some of it as soon as she realized my little great niece was coming for the church picnic last summer. They got busy gathering up her a whole basket full of goodies. And a sweet, sweet connection there from seen and unseen. We don't even know the power of a life until we realize the power of that life. Who else would like to share?
Well, my name is Henry Newman, or Hal, and I just feel a need to mention Jack Boland's name, and the Tetralds, Steve Springborn, the recovery community, Melanie Lee, the recovery community saved my life. surprised. I'm here. I'm doing good things. I'm on the Warren City Council. I've been the chair of the Warren Centerline Prevention Coalition, and it isn't about me, but I'm just thinking about how many times she put so many different people back on a good track. And I'm just so grateful. And I just need to express that. So thank you very much. Oh, and I thought that Lillian Desjardins did a beautiful job speaking of her great friend, Lenore Scott.
Anybody else? Anybody want to come? Somebody's coming.
I'm sure many people in this room have known Lenore much longer than I have. I met Lenore when Ron and Lenore moved in next door to me at Fox Run. And I'd just like to say that some people leave us better than they found us. And Lenore was a person like that for me.
And the group says, amen. Reverend Lenore left all of us better than they found her. Reverend Rick?
So my memories are a little bit different. I was one of the young ones just starting out at Church of Today, and there was this woman that seemed to glow. You know, the kind just is alive, is full of life. And what you said about, yeah, the life showed up in her. But I was not, I thought these people were all like drinking the Kool-Aid. I did. And I was watching for the niche, for the crack, for something, never found one. Now, I moved between Michigan and California a couple of times, and when I came back, the Scotts had gone on to ministerial school, and we're in Austin, I knew that. But when Ron returned to the ministerial team at Renaissance Unity, Lenore was with him. And she remembered me, and I was quite startled, quite startled. So I think that we all get to see a few angels in life. And certainly she was one of those angels. And you will always be a partnership in my mind, Ron, you and Lenore, because you modeled for so many other people what being in a healthy relationship was like, being honest with each other, loving each other, and the way you cared for her, my brother, you inspire me, and so did she. And I'm grateful for both of you. God bless you.
Although I was one of those people who were at Foreman and I was not heavily involved with the church, and I really didn't get to know Ron and Lenore until Ron agreed to be my mentor for ministerial school. And that experience allowed me to get to know two of the most beautiful people. And I will be forever grateful for everything I learned, not only from Ron as my mentor, but from Lenore as his wife, because I knew of Lenore, and I had admired Lenore, but I didn't know Lenore as the sweet, sweet, lovely human being that she was, that could touch a person's soul with barely knowing them. And it was a great honor to have that time and to get to know her. And I'm so grateful. Thank you.
if I was late for church that day, I was sorry. Did everybody? I would feel bad if I just part of it because it would help me center myself every time before that service began. And Ron was just such a wonderful lesson. So I figured straight into Lenore every time I saw her, every time I had a chance to talk to her. So, thank you.
Reverend Eileen coming. If you want to share up here, go ahead and make your way up to one of these chairs, and if you want them on.
Wow. There's just, Steve and I drove up and I said, there's so many people. And he said, why wouldn't there be? And he's right. I first met Lenore when Reverend Ron and Reverend Lenore contacted me about joining the ministerial team here at Spiritual Life Center. And I have to say that at that meeting and every time I was with Lenore, it wasn't what she said, it was the energy that she carried with her and projected when she was in your presence. I felt so loved and so appreciated, and I can't even explain how I felt, but it was just a very warm, beautiful feeling. She just glowed. She really did glow. And she glowed even more when she was with Reverend Ron. Absolutely. But I just wanted to share that it wasn't the words, it was the energy, the beauty, the love that she carried with her wherever she went. And her meditations, just loved her meditations. And so I don't have a lot to say. I just want everyone to know about that feeling that I got from her and how beautiful it is that all of you are here because of the beauty and love that that woman carried.
Thank you all for being here. A couple of nights after Lenore passed on, I had a night's sleep that was unlike any that I've ever had. And it was one of those nights where something was going through my head continually, and I wasn't sure whether I was talking to myself or whether it was Spirit talking through me, but it seemed to go on through the entire night. And the message was, you are feeling a great loss right now. Yes, you are grieving. And that will go on, at least for a time. Diminishing at some point, no doubt. But there is something else that you're missing. And you need to be very much aware of this. You need to put this at the top of your awareness, in fact. And that is that throughout Lenore's life experience, as you have witnessed, guidance has been at the forefront of her life. The guidance has been there without fail. And what came to me was a series of experiences that I had observed over many years, and it began even before I knew Lenore, which was when she was cleaning other people's homes in order to support herself and her 3 sons. And then she went on to assume a position where she was working with economically disadvantaged people to help them find employment. And then a very vivid example of guidance was when she was on her way to a class at a community college in order to improve herself, and she spotted out of the corner of her eye low-income housing available. And she went into this unit where there were 520 units, and she got the last unit that was available. And then, before long, there was a woman who lived on the opposite side of the campus who sought her out and said, I have a couple of kids. Would you be willing for us to take turns caring for one another's kids because I need to get to church? And it wasn't long before this woman took Lenore to that church, which happened to be the church that would become Church of Today. Talk about guidance at work. Gives me chills. And that episode started a whole new dimension in Lenore's life, because she very soon became in charge of the tape ministry. Before anyone knew it, she was the executive assistant to Reverend Jack Boland, who would become not only our mentor, but our dear friend. She would begin teaching classes and demonstrating the amazing talent, as you saw in the video, personal inventory classes and other classes as well. She began to be an addiction counselor and teacher on the staff at the pavilion, as Lillian Desjardins talked about in the video. She, in time, was asked by Jack, along with myself and Patty Hole and Lillian Desjardins, to be with Jack for the last 8 days of his earthly experience in the hospital, around the clock, where we had cots and we were sleeping right in his room with him. It was an incredible time. And then we also found that Lenore became acquainted, as a result of having been at that church, that dynamic Church of Today, that she became acquainted with a number of very well-known persons. People like Della Reese. She would host people. She would transport them, take them out places when they were in town. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, Wayne Dyer, Dr. Sonia Friedman, Larry Gatler, on and on. And one of these persons became a good friend of ours, and his name was the wonderful author Og Mondino. And there was a time we were taking Og to the airport, and we were walking him down and seeing him going down the ramp toward the plane, and we were standing there and waving, and he turned around and said, "If you let her get away, you've got rocks in your head." I'll never forget that. And I didn't know what to say, so I turned to Lenore and said, "Well, that was nice." And it did turn out that we got married in the midst of all this. Married on Christmas Day, 1983. I've always said we got married on Christmas Day because we were both so broke that we couldn't afford a reception, and there was a ready-made party on Christmas. And on this past Christmas, 4 months ago, we sat down and watched the DVD of that service, and it just warmed our hearts to no end to see this experience of ourselves being there with dear friends, family, loved ones. It was incredible. Well, then, our life changed when Lenore had a dream. Lenore had a dream. This was after Jack had passed on, and she was dreaming that she was going up to the second story, going up the stairs in our home, and up to the second story, and here there was no roof on the second story. All there was beautiful sky, and there were flowers, and there were fountains showering water everywhere. And she asked me about it. I said, I really don't know. She talked to her friend Patty Cole about it. And Patty said, that's a spiritual dream, Lenore. You have to be on the lookout for where that's going to lead you. Well, right about that time, I had made plans to enter ministerial school if I could be accepted. But in order to be accepted, it was going to be a year away, and we had to take a lot of classes at Unity Village to prepare ourselves for it, myself for it. And she accompanied me on the class. We took the classes together, and the first class was Lessons in Truth. And in the middle of the class, the instructor told us to go off by ourselves for half an hour and meditate. Don't be with anybody else. Just find a place and meditate and see what that opens up for you. Well, Lenore went outside at Unity Village, and if any of you have been there, you know there's a beautiful rose garden, and there's a bridge of faith over the waterway. And while she was there meditating, all of a sudden, the fountains, the beautiful fountains at Unity Village started up, and they were spraying beautiful water everywhere. And she looked up, and the sky was clear, and there were flowers everywhere in the rose garden, and she said she knew right then what she was supposed to do. She came back and shared in the class what she was going to be opening herself to. And so we both were accepted in ministerial school, and it was just the most magical time in our lives. We loved it, met wonderful people, just opened up new arenas of life experience. And then we made our way to Austin, Texas. That's where the guidance was very clearly leading us. And we had 12 wonderful years in Austin, working with a lot of other people to pioneer a church that became very sizable. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. Great people, great programs. And then, at the end of 12 years, the message was clear. Your work is completed here. Time to head back to Michigan. And we were accepted here at Church of Today in a temporary position. And, but more than that, we were able to connect with family. Lenore had the opportunity, I first had the opportunity, we both did, to spend the final months of my brother's life close to him. And then Lenore was able to resume her wonderful relationship with her mother for the last 8 years of her mother's life. She was delighted in being close to her sons again, and to enjoy close up her wonderful grandchildren that she always delighted in and loved dearly, as well as her great-grandchildren as well. And in the midst of this, she had told me that when she was leaving Austin, she said, I'm retiring from ministry work. Well, it turned out we started up Spiritual Life Center, and the only thing she retired from was being paid for ministry work. She was actively involved in the services and in supporting people, and her meditations, as Reverend Eileen indicated, were just something. And we want you to know that Reverend Martha and I are committed to continuing the spiritual practice of the ministry of Spiritual Life Center for as long as guidance directs us to do so. And in the course of that, Lenore's marvelous recorded meditations will always be a part of the Sunday services. And yes, thank you. And we would be excited to welcome anyone who would like to be a part of it. Now that it's online, yes, we have various events. We have picnics in the summertime and a Christmas party and all kinds of activities that are ongoing. But the Sunday services are recorded, and people are free to be part of another church where they go to in-person services and still be a part of Spiritual Life Center. You're most welcome to do that. And if you're interested in being a part of that, we have outside on the table when you're exiting the core beliefs of unity that you'd be welcome to check out. In addition, Martha and I have each written a book. Mine was about 10 years ago or so, and Martha is more than one book. She's had multiple books. And some of these books are out on the table. You're welcome to take a copy if you like. And Spiritual Life Center goes on. We're excited for that. But in the midst of all this, Lenore was doing this despite the fact that she was dealing with overwhelming, enormous health challenges. But she lived above those health challenges. There's an example of that comes to mind that really speaks to that, and that was just a couple weeks before she passed on. She and I were in the Rose Court, which is the rehab center at Fox Run, when she had gotten out of the hospital, and we were down in the restaurant sitting across from one another, and she got this big smile on her face, and I looked, and here was this woman passing who neither one of us had ever seen before. But Lenore gave her this big smile, and the woman stopped and said, "You have such a beautiful smile. Thank you so much." And it perked her up too. I said, "Lenore, you just are always smiling." And she said something I'll never forget. She said, "I just can't help it. My cheeks just keep going there." And what this told me and tells me is that it was just in her genes, and it was her nature to just smile at life. No matter what she was dealing with, she was above the health that was the physical impact on her, and she was going to enjoy life no matter what, and she was going to reach out to others and help them to enjoy life too. You know, when each morning when we'd get up, I'd usually be up first, and I'd be out in the front room, and she'd come out, and when I heard her coming, I would sing to her. And often I would sing "You Are My Sunshine," because it was her favorite song. "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray." She loved that song. I would sing that one, or I would sing "There's a Somebody I'm Longing to See," or "You Are the Sunshine of My Life," or any number of songs. And every once in a while I'd sneak in "It's So Nice to Have a Man Around the House," and she would give me a funny look. But there are so many holy moments that I will look back on. One of these was several days before she passed. She was not at this point able to speak, but she was still had her eyes open. I think it was about the last day she had her eyes open. And I was there with some of the boys. Jim and Larry were there with us around the clock, 24/7 for the last 11 days. And I said, "I love you so," and she mouthed the words back to me, "I love you so." I'll just carry that with me forever. And then on the final morning when she was with us, I got up an hour early. The hospice nurses had told us that the hearing is the last thing to go. So we were throughout talking openly, letting Lenore know how much we loved her and talking about the wonderful times. And on this particular morning, I went through for an hour or so a number of the events, some that I've shared with you leading up to, including our marriage and the times in ministerial school. And there wasn't any expression on her face, but I could feel the energy of just harmony between us. And then a few hours later, with half a dozen of us around her bed, she passed peacefully, easily. And as Julie said, she had told us on a couple of occasions, "I am at peace." She said that right after the nurse at the Cancer Institute, or the doctor, told us she really needs to go into hospice. And she said, "I'm at peace." She didn't let it throw her off. I just have to share with you that I will go on celebrating the fact that the guidance, God's grace, has brought precious Lenore into this world and into my life.
We just extend some loving energy to Reverend Ron. And we know that after today, there'll be times of that, so please speak his name in prayer, as you would Reverend Lenore's, this family, as we close here this afternoon. That this is a beginning of some, not an end of something, an uplift of something, and a chance for us to begin again, for sure. Has been extended through an invocation of this life, a lived life here, and as we further commit to put life into life. And we can do so in and after the nature of Reverend Lenore Scott. And I have a general short philosophy that is, God outdoes me. And Reverend Lenore Scott and you, Reverend Ron Scott, is an example, are examples of that. When I least expected, such dear, potent, powerful, demonstrated teachers of the teachings to be brought to me. You are that. She is that, and in spades. And I'm deeply grateful, and on behalf of many here, an infinite, eternal gratitude for you individually, for you, Reverend Lenore, and what you were able to do together that has served humanity. Our closing poem. Are you going to do another song, honey? Y'all want to get ready? To those I love, and to those who love me, when I am gone, release me. Let me go. I have so many things to see and do. You mustn't tie yourself to me with tears. Be happy. We had so many years. I gave you my love, and you can only guess how much you gave me in happiness. I thank you for the love you each have shown. And now it's time that I've traveled alone. So grieve a while for me, if grieve you must. Then let your grief be comforted by trust. It's only for a while that we must part. Only for a while. So bless those memories that are in your heart. I won't be far away, for life goes on. So if you need me, call me and I will come. Though you can't see or touch me, I'll be near with all my love around you, soft and clear. And then when you must come this way alone, I'll greet you with a smile and welcome you home.
Down when troubles come, I burden be. Then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. to more than I can be.
Of you again for being here. It's a quote from Rumi that says, "Goodbyes are only for those who love with their eyes. Because for those who love with heart and soul, there is no such thing as separation." We have a living example of that today. So as we give life to life, and as you give life to your life, and I am further ever committed to give life to the only life I have, I do so with great gratitude for this teacher, this friend, this holy, holy being, Reverend Lenore Scott. And may you be blessed in all the ways that you serve. And if there's a way that we can serve you through this ministry, as Reverend Ron said earlier, get directly in touch with us. It is our high calling and blessing to be a blessing to you as well. This concludes our service, and the family invites you to stay if you can and enjoy the refreshments. Are they out here in the lobby? So partake if you can and visit with one another, and deepest, wholehearted thanks for being here and for continuing to lift this family in prayer as we leave here together today. And as the poem says, one day she'll greet us with a smile. Welcome home, and welcome you home. So for now, we go about our life and look forward to that day too. God bless you, each and every one. Thank you again.
Sing along with us. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
To be part of it.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy.
For her. Oh, thank you for her. I love looking out and seeing you there. Thank you, honey. Thank you. So glad you could come.
Those have died before. I want him to do mine.
Yeah. Thank you.